A story tonight from the Fox 12 investigators, a shortage of officers and a growing volume of 911 calls.
And that combination has the Portland Police Bureau really scrambling just to keep up. As Fox 12's Simon Gutierrez explains, the Bureau is trying to get creative in order to get officers where they need to be. But some question whether that's enough.
Portland Police.
On a headset, behind a desk, Sergeant Brad Yockets fields call after call.
And he's making strange statements.
Making decisions in real time about whether or not to send an officer in response.
Folks call 911 sometimes for the wrong reason, and they think a police officer is going to solve their problem. And what type of statements?
But in many situations, he says, the complaint would be best handled by someone else.
It might go to another city entity. It might go to a county entity. It might go to a private business. This is Sergeant Yockets at Dispatch. How are you, sir?
And so he monitors 8 screens, doing what he describes as call triage, and often handling the complaints himself.
I'll give Gabe a call and basically tell him to stop bothering you, and that's the gist, right?
It's a new position staffed by Yockets and 8 other sergeants full-time. Started as a pilot program to deal with an increase in 911 calls.
Officers asked for Code 3 medical.
With fewer officers to respond to them.
PPB will be landing.
The Bureau currently has 120 unfilled officer vacancies.
We had to come up with a solution. One way is to reduce the amount of time officers, number one, are either spending on calls or reduce the call load that officers are going to the calls.
The triage program is having an impact. According to a report by the City Budget Office, triage sergeants have cleared or diverted more than 1,800 calls, translating to more than 1,300 hours of officer time saved.
It frees up an officer to handle higher priority calls. The higher priority calls don't stop coming in.
But there's a potential unintended consequence here, a byproduct, if you will, of making things work. And that is people who used to call police now not feeling like they should, or not bothering to.
If it's a homeless situation, if there's vehicles parked on the street, if they're doing drug deals.
Steve Nepper, who owns an auto shop in Southeast Portland, says he used to call 911 in those situations, but was told too many times there wasn't an officer available. What do they typically say to you?
Well, there's not much they can do. I mean, they're maxed out with calls in the area, and they basically just say that they can't come out on a call like that.
Yockett says calls like that are typically redirected to another city department, like the Clean and Safe program, which deals with homeless issues. But Nepper says other agencies haven't dealt with the problems in the area.
Put both of your hands up.
In March, officers on patrol stopped a blue Subaru whose driver was acting suspiciously on the street right next to Nepper's shop. In the car, they found crystal meth. Despite the bust, Nepper says the drug dealing goes on unabated, and he wishes police could be more responsive to calls.
You know, they're here to keep this town, under control, and they're not able to anymore. It's gone completely out of control.
Back at the 911 call center, Sergeant Yockets admits the current solution to the high call volume isn't a perfect one.
Is it a Band-Aid possibly? Sure. Again, we had to get creative.
But he says there's a value in clearing the calls that officers simply don't have the ability to help with, freeing them up for situations where they can help.
I'll make sure an officer gets out there when they can, okay, sir?
With a longer-term solution, hopefully including more officers on the streets.
Is it working?
Is it working? We're making it work. We don't have a choice. We're the police, right? We're making it work. We're coming up with ideas.
In Southeast Portland.
Alrighty, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Simon Gutierrez, Fox 12 Oregon.